Hello everyone. So as we know, the India-US trade deal was announced on February 3rd on social media by both countries, and from there the controversies began. President Trump claimed the 500 billion in purchases, stopping Russian oil and opening all of India trade. But Prime Minister Modi he barely confirmed any of that. But now we can see that both countries have released an official joint statement. This is the actual framework on paper. So let's break down each point in detail without any propaganda, just what's real and what's not. Okay, so first the big one, the 500 billion purchase commitment is real. What President Trump claimed? It's in writing. India has committed to purchase 500 billion worth of US good over the next 5 years. The joint statement specifically mentioned energy products, aircraft and their parts, precious metals, technology products including GPUs for data centers. Now you might be asking, is 500 billion realistic? Well, India currently import less than $50 billion from the US per year. Yes, you heard right. So this is a 10x increase over 5 years. That's $100 per year. It is ambitious but not absolutely possible in near future. We will see because the statement says India intends to purchase. That's a softer language than commits to purchase. But it's still in the official document, so we have to take this seriously. Second, the tariff numbers are also confirmed by the both countries. India will eliminate or reduce tariff on all US industrial goods. That's 98 to 99% of industrial products like chemicals, medical devices and manufactured good. On agriculture, India also agreed to zero tariff on specific products like tree nuts, fresh and processed fruit, soybean oil, wine and etc. And the US tariff on Indian goods are confirmed at reducing from 50% to 18%. The statement says the US will apply an 18% reciprocal tariff on the Indian good including textiles, apparel, leather, footwears, plastics and etc. But here's the interesting part, you might to understand that the statement also says the US will remove the reciprocal tariff on a wide range of other goods once the interim agreement is successfully concluded. This includes generic pharmaceuticals, gems and diamond, and aircraft parts like engine most probably. So some Indian exports might end up with zero tariff eventually. Here's what India did not open up. The joint statement says India agrees to address long-standing non-tariff barriers to trade in US food and agriculture product. Now notice the word address, not eliminate, because in geopolitics, diplomatic language is very important. Piyush Goyal said in his press conference that the deal completely protects sensitive agriculture and dairy products. Products like rice, beef, soybeans, dairy products, all are still protected. India did the exact same thing if you remember in the EU trade deal. These products involve millions of Indian farmers and I don't think PM Modi can't risk massive protest again. So while the US get access to some agriculture products like fruit, nuts, wine, the big ticket item that American farmers really wanted like unrestricted dairy, beef and rice, those are off the table. Now the most controversial part, Russian oil issue. Trump claimed that India agreed to stop buying Russian oil. The joint statement does not say this openly, but what it does say is Trump signed an executive order rescinding the 25% penalty tariff that was imposed on India for Russian oil purchases. The executive order itself says India has committed to stop directly or indirectly importing Russian oil. But notice one thing, that's in Trump executive order, not in the joint India-US statement. India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has not publicly confirmed stopping Russian oil completely. He has been silent on this. What we know for sure is the 25% penalty is gone. Whether India actually stopped buying Russian oil or just reduced it, that's still unclear. The statement mentioned India will buy US energy, but it does not say openly instead of Russian oil. So let's talk about the positives, what both sides actually got. So for the US, access to 1.4 billion person market, zero tariff on most industrial goods and some agriculture product also. 500 billion in purchases over 5 years if India follow through. And India addressing non-tariff barriers, if you remember, that have been blocked American companies for decades are now unlocked. And in technology sectors, corporations on AI and data sector are huge advantage for the US. For India, tariff relief from 50% to 18%, that's immediate relief for textile, jewelries, leather, pharmaceuticals. Potential zero tariff on gem, diamond and aircraft part once the deal is finalized. And India protected its farmer also. Products like rice, dairy, beef, all are safe. Maintain some data localizations So both countries avoided a full trade war. If you remember, relationships were at new lows last year. So this might reset things at some level. Now, if we talk about the negatives, now the problem is the 500 billion commitment. It's in writing, but it's also an intent to purchase, not a legal obligation. There is no penalty clause if India does not hit that number. And $100 billion per year, if you ask me personally, that 10 times India's current US imports. That's a massive shift that required huge infrastructure, supply chains, and demand that does not exist yet. This is the reality. Now, if we talk about the Russian oil controversies, so it is still officially unclear. President Trump executive order says India committed to stop, but India has not confirmed that publicly. And India historically bought Russian oil at discounts of 15 to $20 per barrel. So switching to US oil at full price will cost India's economy billion. So let's see whether that's politically sustainable for Prime Minister Modi. So it's an open question and it's a debatable question. Now for agriculture, US farmer got access to some products, but the big ones are still blocked. American agriculture lobbies are not going to be fully satisfied. Service sectors are not mentioned yet. India wanted easier H1B visas, more access to IT workers, and fewer restrictions on India's service providers. So none of that deal mentioned in this framework. So that's a loss for India's IT sector eventually. Here's my assessment after reading the full joint statement and comparing it to the initial announcement. What's real is the tariff reduction. India get relief from 50% to 18%. The US get zero tariff on most industrial good and some agriculture. The 500 billion is in writing. Non-tariff barrier will address with specific timeline. What's hype is the 500 billion might got materialized at that scale. Russian oil commitments are unclear. This is not a comprehensive FTA, it's an interim framework. Services, visas, and some major agriculture products are not addressed yet. If you ask me personally, is this historic? Yes, in the sense that it reset a relationship that was collapsing last year. And is it transformative? Not yet. That depends on implementation because this is the very crucial step. If India actually buys $100 billion per year from the US, if non-tariff barriers actually get removed, if the broader BTA gets signed, then yes, it's a game changer. But right now, it's a confidence building phase one, I might say, and deal that stops the bleeding and creates a foundation for more. Whether it's become more dependent on what happens over the next 6 months. So that's the India-US joint statement. Positive are the real tariff relief, market access on both sides, 500 billion commitment in writing, strategic resets. Negatives are unclear on the Russian oil, agriculture partially excluded, no service sector access, implementation issues and risk. Not as big as Trump claim, but not as bad as critics says. It's a, I would say, pragmatic deal that both sides can defend domestically while continuing negotiation.